The other day I was at a meeting with some of my clients, and one of them said that she had just given some money to an organization, quite a lot of money to this organization, and she hadn't gotten a thank you note. And the other two people in the meeting said, the same thing happened to me. And they spent 10 minutes talking about how hurtful that was that they actually hadn't heard from the organization, because they'd given significant gifts, and it was to an organization that they'd had a long relationship with. And they felt sort of betrayed that they hadn't gotten that thank you note from those people, and they were sort of wondering about their allegiance to the organization, even though they really loved the mission. And it made me think about how hard it seems to be for most nonprofits to be thanking people in a timely and compelling way. I think that people are longing for deep connection with our organizations, and we're letting them down by not connecting with them as deeply as we could. And one of the easiest ways to connect with people is through a really earnest, authentic thank you process. And a lot of my clients think that it's really hard to do thank yous quickly and well. And I think that it's because they're making too big a thing out of it. It doesn't need to be that big a deal. So I'm asking people to make a phone call the day they get the check and just be your authentic self and say, we were so excited to get that check today. Thank you so much. We want to know where that came from. Why were you thinking of us? Or to have a board member call in a couple of days, or to just send a postcard saying, got your check, we'll mail you something more official later on, just wanted you to know we got it. But I think people they're so excited when they make that gift, and they want a thank you to land quickly after that and reflect the joy that they felt when they made that gift, and they're not getting it. And it makes me sad that we can't express gratitude better. I remember a few years ago I was doing a focus group with a bunch of major donors to an organization in town, and I asked each of the major donors how they remembered being thanked well, so that we could sort of incorporate those things in our organization's culture. And I remember being in this room with 5 people, and they all kind of looked at each other like, thanked well. And they couldn't remember a time when they had been thanked well. One person said, I think I got a card. There was this it drifted off into nowhere. And I remember thinking, that is a really sad statement about the sector that we're in, that the major donors, and these people are all recognizable names, that they can't remember being thanked well. So I'm inviting people to spend more energy and resources on that than on even the cultivation or the asking, because I think it's a more important gesture than almost anything else, is making sure that once people have invested in our organization, we say, there's nothing more important than taking care of the relationships with the people who sustain us. One organization had the kids who'd been served draw little pictures of what it meant to them to have been served, and they put 6 of them on a card and just copied it on their laser printer on paper stock, on cover stock, and folded that over, put a ribbon on it, and that turned into a thank you. So it feels like it was handwritten, but they mass produced them. And everybody who got one felt like they had gotten something really personal and really precious, because it had this drawing and these words from the kids. So I think that we can create really powerful thank yous for the $15 donor just as much as we can for the major donors. I'd like to have our thank yous be mission focused, so a photo, a testimonial, a quote, a drawing by someone who's been served. And so you can have the outside of that be something that could be used for everyone, and even have the inside of a card have handwriting on it that's been printed on at the printer. It doesn't have to be handwritten each time, just so that it looks like a human being touched it and it wasn't sent out mass to a whole bunch of people. One of the things that I'm noticing is a lot of people are using letterhead to write their thank you notes, and I feel like if I get a thank you on letterhead, it feels like business mail. I want a card. I want it to have handwriting on it. I want it to land the next day, and I want it to reflect the joy that I felt when I made that gift. And I don't think we have to spend a lot of money to create really powerful thank yous like that for everyone in our donor base. A lot of times my clients say, well, we just don't have time to make thank you notes like you're talking about, ones with pictures and stories and quotes and handwriting on them. We don't have time to do that. And I say to them, then what else are you doing with your time if you're not taking care of these people? What is it that's taking your time? Are you writing newsletter copy that no one reads? Are you creating websites that no one pays attention to? Are you doing annual reports that people think are a waste of their time and money and energy? What are you doing? Are you planning events that they don't really want to go to? What is it that's taking up your time? The thank you notes need to be foremost. Kim Klein said one time that if our job is to raise money, the first thing we should do every morning when we get to work is sit down at our desk, write a couple of thank you notes, call someone to set up a lunch or a coffee or something before we even open our email, before we open our snail mail, before we answer our phone messages. Sit down and write some thank you notes. And so I've taken that to heart, and I try to do it in my regular life. Make sure that I start every morning with a gesture of gratitude, and it really starts the whole day off a lot better. So sometimes I invite people to spend more attention on the people that are at the top of their pyramid, thanking them more frequently, more powerfully. And then as you move down the donor pyramid, people get less and less attention. But Penelope Burke said in her donor-centered fundraising book that may be a construct that the development profession has created that doesn't reflect reality. She said, why aren't we thanking our $15 donors with the same power and impressions that we're using on our major donors? Why are we triaging that when we need to be thanking everyone powerfully? And because, as we all know, the person who made the $15 gift, it might have been a bigger deal for them than the person who gave us $5,000. And maybe it was a test gift, and they're seeing how well we take care of them. And if we spend a little bit of energy and resources thanking the $15 donor, they might turn into a $1,000 donor. One time I had a donor in a focus group who said, I'm not actually supporting this organization when I write a check here. I'm actually manifesting my values. And so I think that we need to, when we thank people, we need to say, thank you for having these values, not thank you for supporting our organization. Thank you for caring about this particular topic in the world and for sustaining our work to address that topic. So we need to remember that they're really not giving us money as an organization. What they're doing is investing in what they think matters in the world. And our thank yous need to reflect what they think is important, not what we think is important.